All right, welcome back, everybody. Are you looking to buy or sell your home? Sales prices in Connecticut have dipped slightly, but rates are at a 20-year high.
So here to tell us more is broker and co-owner of Rockoff Realty, Kevin Rockoff. Thank you so much for being with us.
Nice to be back.
There's still like no inventory, but yet rates are way up. So is this good? Is it bad? Like, what's happening?
So rates are at 20-year highs. So you have buyers who are really stretched.
What are the...
Over 8%.
Oh my gosh.
Over 8%. And 2 years ago, they were at high 2s, low 3s. So there's just not a lot of inventory because no one wakes up these days and go, what a great time to go buy my dream home.
Right.
Because rates are over 8%. Prices are still historically very high. So the only people who are really buying are ones who can really afford to.
Exactly.
But in general, it's kind of a have to. And the same thing with sellers. Oh, there's a chart right there. So yeah, you see prices are down only 3%, but transactions are down 13%.
Okay.
Because there's just few inventory and the houses that are there are expensive.
Does that mean if you really want to sell or it's a good time, that it actually is good for you because people are still going over asking anymore?
It all depends on if you have a place to go.
Okay.
Right? So it's a great time to downsize.
Sure.
Like if you've been in a house for 30 years, you've raised your kids, your taxes have tripled, you don't need all the land and space, you're selling a high asset, yeah, you're probably paying more on your buy side, but it's a lower priced asset.
Okay.
Right.
So it makes sense. But if you're upsizing, then yeah, you're going to pay more. But if you're there for 20 years, do you really care?
Exactly.
And we talked about that last
You
week.
could refinance down the road. Okay.
Correct.
Tell us how you work individually. Your company, you work a different way than other real estate agents.
Yeah, well, and for 6 years now, we've been doing our 1% versus...
Is it 6 years already?
It's been 6 years,
Wow.
yeah.
It's incredible.
Time like that.
Come on. That's wild.
I've sold over 400 homes, but yeah, so I mean, they all price. My competition typically charges 2.5% or 3% to sell the home. We've only charged 1% because we don't have overhead that no one goes to anymore.
Well, and not only that, like maybe the world is, not only are you a disruptor and it's changing because you do all the same services, you get all the pictures, it's just you don't need
professional photography, signs, lockbox, you just don't need offices because no one goes anymore.
So basically you don't have to pay for the offices. But there's also a lawsuit where our buyer broker fees may be going away? Yeah,
it's a really, really interesting time in our industry and for home sellers across the nation, what is going on right now in terms of the buyer broker fee. So just to recap, when typically there has been two sides of a transaction. There's the person representing the seller,
right?
The listing agent, which is what I do for my 1%. Then there's a person representing the buyer. So the system works now, how it's been for 40 years has been, let's say you and Dennis want to sell your home. You say, Kevin, I come out, I do my thing, I look at the house, give you suggestions. Okay, fine, I'll pay you 1%, professional photography, all that good stuff. Okay, guys, now what do you, of your sales price, what do you want to allocate to the buying broker? And you it's not intuitive because the buying broker is actually being paid to represent against you.
Exactly.
It really doesn't make intuitive sense. It's unique to the United States. And 4 years ago, a bunch of home sellers in the Midwest said, this isn't right. And in April, it got certified as class action. And literally, now as we speak, the whole methodology of residential sales is going into question.
When I sold my house in Canton, it's got to be 12 years, 13 years, did I do that?
You paid.
You did.
I paid a buyer?
Usually
You
it's
paid,
like,
yeah.
because usually
And the buyers don't even know it. They think it's free, but it's baked in on the end. Buyers are paying for it too.
Right.
And you're talking about a lot of money.
So usually the way that people have bought and sold for so many years is about a 5% fee and where 2.5 went to one broker, 2.5 went to the other, right?
Correct.
And so what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I'm only going to charge you 1%.
Correct.
But then you negotiate on the other side. Like you don't have to pay 2.5%.
Well, that's just it. People think they need to pay 2.5% to a buying agent. And the reality is the law reads you only have to do, well, now they've just changed it because they're getting sued, 0. But then the question becomes, well, who's going to show my home?
Who's going to take their people if they're not getting paid?
And that's the crux of the lawsuit. So remember, RE/MAX 2 weeks ago already settled. They settled for $55 million, which was half their cash, and said, I'm going to stop doing this. And then Anywhere, which you've never heard of, but they own Coldwell Banker, they own ERA, they own William Pitt. They settled last month for $83 million.
Wow.
So all you have left now on trial is RE/MAX and Berkshire Hathaway and the Association of Realtors. So it's really bombshell. A lot of agents don't even know about this stuff. Certainly home sellers are learning about it, but they don't know about it because that's what we're going through now.
Unbelievable. All right, $394,000. It's sold in Griswold, right?
Yeah.
145 Browning Road in Griswold, and part of that goes to charity.
Part of that goes to Realtors for the Rescues. So this is the house we just sold, and it's interesting because these guys saw us talking about home selling. The Seals got transferred to Iowa. They called me, and they wrote a great review. And I think what's important that I want to get across to folks, not just for me but for my team, is that oh, there they are. There's Lonnie and Newell. So it's not just about flipping and selling homes. It is about that, but it's also about, it's a quality service, right? There is an art to what we do, born from experience. So we know how to negotiate. We know how to market a home. That's what I really want to get across in sharing a review from these folks.
Yeah, they said 5.5 hours later they had their first showing after the listing went live, and that you really helped them save some money, and so they had more money to put toward that new house, which is going to be more expensive these days in the economy.
Correct. They saved like $6,000, I believe.
Yeah, $5,900. That's incredible.
So interesting times. Interesting times.
Well, keep coming back and informing us.
Yeah,
I will
thank
do.
you.
For more information or to get in touch with Kevin and his team, visit rockoffrealty.com. Thanks, Kevin.